and happy. It's the end of the week. That's exciting for me. Although it's another soccer travel weekend, so nothing to get too amped up about. It's one of those things where you go to sleep, wake up, and it's Monday again, and that's my life these days. Anyway, Doug is back from his day off, hopefully well rested and rejuvenated, so that he can go into this weekend even better than he otherwise would have. There he is.
It's Friday. It's Friday. It's the end of the week. It's the last day.
There we go.
How's it going?
Was that supposed to be this song you were doing?
No.
Okay. Good.
No, I was singing. I was singing what Eliza sings in kindergarten on the last day, and then they all go around and they say, "So what you gonna do, Matt? What you gonna do?" And then you say what you're gonna do for the weekend. So, but we sing that one a lot in our house as well. In addition to the Rebecca Black song.
Good. I like the Rebecca Black. That still gets you in a good mood.
It sure does.
So some hello to some familiar faces here. Jody Shuck says happy Friday. Jill says happy Friday. Drew Design says, and not drinking Guinness. Bianca's here, says, hey y'all, and Mr. Jeffrey, happy Friday. So I like to see that. And then over in Instagram, we've got some stragglers still. Actually, I mean, a ton of people go to Instagram and then I think they just leave because they get there and there's only 2 people there because everyone's over on YouTube. So that's why I put the message in the show notes. Maybe we should pin a message there. It says, go watch in YouTube where everybody is. So
I can do that.
You can type that up, Doug. I can pin it. That'd be great.
What, okay. Yeah.
So anyway, do that. So yesterday, Doug, I don't know if you watched the show, but Steven brought a Guinness. He had one of those. It was more acceptable because it was 5 p.m. or so his time, and also non-alcoholic Guinness. So that was a nice little addition to the show that he had that. Brought some levity. Anyway, why don't you tell us how your day off went? Yes, what do you have there?
Well, along those lines, I didn't look at what you have in the weather report today, so it's possibly covering this. But did you see that? I think I saw this on Morning Brew, your favorite website.
Mm-hmm. Not at all. No. I almost never read it anymore.
Bill Gates apparently just made a huge investment into Heineken.
Okay, this is something.
I thought that was funny, and I wondered. Apparently, he's not a beer drinker, and I wondered if maybe he's an A beer drinker, and he's gonna, because everyone's talking about how great the Heineken and A beer is, Heineken Zero is. So
is everyone who's talking about that? Just me?
Just you and somebody else. I mean, the comments people have have agreed.
Yeah, I did. I meant to actually look that up. I saw the boycott Heineken was trending on Twitter today, and I meant to click it, and then I forgot. I went and did something else.
Oh boy, people are boycotting it because the investment. Oh my god.
Yeah. So there's a big picture of
so dumb.
I see a large picture of a Heineken bottle with blood on it, as if it has been shot, and it says "Stop Russian War Funding, Boycott Heineken Brands." So I guess somehow they're tying Bill Gates maybe back to war funding. I have no idea. Okay. Unless it's unrelated. Unless the boycott Heineken happened to be the same day. Okay. So Heineken is still investing in Russia despite promises to stop. This is just some random tweet someone wrote. I think unrelated to Bill Gates, unless Bill Gates saw that and that attracted him, and he said, "I'm going to buy low" or something like that, because he sees that right now everybody's, this crowd is panicked. He says, "I'm going to be a savvy investor and get in now. Go against them." The crowd.
I don't know. But
anyway, let's go with Heineken.
Happy birthday and shout out to Mr. Jeffrey's wife.
Okay.
Which I'm learning about in the comments here. Vacation starts today. I don't know. Where are you going, Mr. Jeffrey? I'd like to hear what your weekend.
Yeah, I'd like to know that too. Good. And I meant to go back to Bianca. Bianca's here. She can only come on Fridays. So to the live. So I think that deserves a special shout out. And she put y'all in her comment, which I like, since she's the author of Cook and Crunk, which I still have yet to cook from, but I really do mean to. I keep looking at it and liking it. So I need to do that. National Tortilla Chip Day, says Danielle Perlman. I don't know if that, but I bet it is. No reason to.
How did I not know that?
I don't know. But that's Friday, February. Yep, that is confirmed. National Tortilla Chip Day. So you better do something.
Tortilla chips.
Yeah, make it do something different than normal day and have tortilla chips during this day. It'd be like a special thing you do for it.
I should break out the tortilla chips.
Yeah, good. All right. Well, what'd you do on your day off?
Oh yeah, I took a day off yesterday. I appreciate Steven for coming and filling in for me, and for you for making that happen, because it is a challenge anytime there's a guest host. My daughter had the day off school, and so we joined some family and went skiing. It was 65 degrees and classic East Coast, crunchy on the bottom, slushy on top. But we had a great time. And my youngest daughter, 2-year-old, skied for the first time, which was really fun.
Wow, very nice. I actually would have. It's funny, when I sort of pictured your family out doing something for the day, I pictured like tubing or something. So skiing, very much the opposite of that. Not snow tubing, like tubing down the river.
Oh, like
when
river
it's warm
tubing.
out. So skiing, very much the opposite of that. But I guess it's still winter.
Yeah,
right?
no,
No,
I
it's
think
not.
this is
Yeah,
kind of
still
our
winter.
last hurrah for the year, probably, unless we get a huge cold snap. But it's been the year of Eliza learning how to really ski on her own, and Chloe. I don't know. It was just a really good day. It was really fun, and nice to be out. And I I got recognized by a listener. So shout out to Emily. The funniest. We were in the lodge, kind of warming up, and or not warming up, but taking a break, and this girl says, as I'm walking by, she's like, this woman says, "Are you that guy from that podcast?" And I was like, "What?" It's like caught me off guard. And I was like, "Well, maybe I'm Doug." And she's like, "Oh yeah, and or I listen to you a lot," or something like that. And but it was just so funny, because it was like a simultaneous ego boost and kick in the groin at the same time, or ego check, I guess, because she didn't seem to remember what my name was, or the podcast name, or anything like that. She's like, "Are you that guy from that podcast?" So I don't know. I just thought it was really funny.
Okay. It got a little grainy there. I didn't hear everything you said in the beginning.
Oh no.
But then you said what I think I missed. She said, "Are you that guy from that podcast?" Yeah, that's kind of funny. So I guess, did she hear your voice, or just see you and realize it was you?
I think just saw me, which makes me think that she might be a listener to this podcast and not the other podcast. So yeah, so shout out to Emily. It was nice to meet you in the ski lodge.
Emily, yeah, very nice. Good. That doesn't happen yet. Hasn't happened to me yet, at least with the Plant-Based Morning Show getting any sort of credit, or at least being the source of recognition. That's cool though. Family must have been impressed, right? Probably thought you were like a celebrity.
Yeah, I guess so.
Good. All right. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Hope it continues. My family's gonna go ice skating today in the afternoon during work hours. So I don't know if I'm gonna pull a Doug and go do that. I may join them, mainly because I'm interested in what would be the condition of the ice rink when it is like Friday early afternoon, when most people are still in school or stuff. I guess they're not still in school, but I think my daughter has a half day today. So it just would be cool, because ice skating is always so crowded that if you got an empty rink, it'd be kind of nice.
You should do it.
Maybe I'll do that. We'll see.
Did you grow up doing any like ice hockey or anything?
I did, but never in any league or anything. We played street hockey like every single day after school, and that was in leagues, including. But then we'd play pond hockey whenever it was frozen. But I didn't get in an ice hockey league. There wasn't much of that. Like inside of a rink where you pay and all that. There wasn't much of that, and it was expensive to get ice time, obviously. So did some of that. I became a good skater because of rollerblading, and because of roller hockey. If you do that every day for a couple of years, you just learn how to skate really well. And then ice skating is not exactly the same, but it's very similar. Just a little more.
Translates.
Yeah. So yes, that's what's going on. All right. I thought I had something. Oh yeah, we got to the Discord thing. Why don't you announce that?
Yeah.
And then I've got some tiny bit of extra news, but why don't you tell us about that, which I've already spoiled.
I appreciate everybody who voted on Instagram about where we want to host the community. It seems like Discord has won out over Slack, which I was really kind of pushing for the Slack. I was hoping for the Slack, but someone made a comment that really resonated with me, which is Slack is where I do my work, and if I'm gonna have fun, I don't want to do it there. So that makes a lot of sense to me. You can tune into Discord and tune out of Slack and not have the overlap. So I think that makes a lot of sense. So we're gonna roll out with Discord. We're gonna give it a shot. We're gonna give a 30-day plant-based morning show community trial and see how this goes. But I'm quite excited about it.
Yeah, I'm glad that person said that because I couldn't voice that, but that's my exact association. Discord, when I go in Discords, you're anonymous. There's memes flying around. There's GIFs. You just do anything. And then you show up in Slack and it's like you got to check yourself, make sure everything is, appropriate and corporate and nice. So Discord is just like where you go to have fun. So I totally get that. And I like that. I like that call out by that person.
Yeah, Bianca over on YouTube points out that was her that said that, and I thought so, but I didn't want to make that mistake. So thank you, Bianca. You're absolutely right. I was thinking, Slack since I'm on Slack all day, then it's just kind of like clicking over or whatever. But you know, on the weekends or at night, I don't want to tune into Slack if I'm gonna check in with the Plant-Based Morning Show community. So this is good. Right. I'm glad we're doing it.
Good. All right. Well, I am too. So hopefully we'll get that going next week. Perhaps might take a little while to set up. I've never set up a Discord, but I'll check it out and see what we can do. All right. My other news is I found out that the Plant-Based Athlete book is going to be coming out in paperback form, which is pretty nice. And it'll be June 6th. So it's a good long ways off, but assuming this show is still in existence by then, I will remind everyone then when it comes out. Maybe we'll have some sort of promotion put together. I don't know. But I'm excited about that. I've never had a book go from hardback to paperbacks. I've never had a hardback book before. So now it feels like an achievement. I don't know if it is. I don't know if all hardback books go to paperback. They might actually. And maybe it's even a sign of failure because maybe a book that's like just flying off the shelves, they'll just keep it in hardcover for as long as people are willing to pay $30 for it. And then once they get desperate, then you got to, mass market paperback. I have no idea. I actually don't think that's how it works, but
I don't think so either. I would have a little bit more faith in you than in the book than that. I think it's a sign of success and another opportunity to get back on the New York Times bestseller list, maybe.
Yeah, maybe people do that. I remember Rich Roll was trying to do that when Plant Power or whatever I forget what it's called. What's Rich Roll's book called? Finding Ultra. When that came out in paperback, he was really excited about that chance to get a bump. But it's hard. I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. Anyway, yeah. So that is that, and I don't think I have much else information. We had some. I had tacos twice this week, Doug, which sounds a lot like the Hay household. We had just like the one that we typically will do once every month or so. Aaron just cooked up some beans and we get all the fixings out. Then she remembered we had this recipe from a book called Appetite for Reduction by Isa Chandra Moskowitz, one of our favorite authors because she wrote Isa Does It. Appetite for Reduction is a really good book. The For Reduction idea, of course, it's a nod to the Guns N' Roses album, Appetite for Destruction, but it's Appetite for Reduction. So it means like sort of minimal ingredients, just minimal, frills. But anyway, these are black bean tacos with Kalamata olives chopped up in the sauce, along with some zucchini, which I don't really know why the zucchini's there, but it is, and it's pretty good. And then this like little just a cream saucy thing you put on top, which requires vegan mayo. It's just a good recipe, and I haven't had it in so long. We forgot about it, but then Aaron remembered it, made it, so I had tacos twice.
This is my kind of menu there. I like it.
Yeah, I know it is.
You know what I had last night? I wanted to call this out. After we got back from a long day on the mountain, got home, didn't want to cook much, looking in the pantry and found some bags of plant-based chili from like Thrive Market branded. Again, this is not sponsored, but they used to be sponsored. Thrive Market branded plant-based chili that had Beyond Meat in it.
Oh,
and
wow.
it was actually really good. It was like black beans and some vegetables, and then a little bit of Beyond Meat. Not a ton, but just a little bit of ground meat in there, and it was quite good.
Very nice. Aaron has bought recently some like ready packs of beans. This is not the same thing, but it's not that different. They're just in like those sort of soft plastic packs.
Yeah.
That you could you can squeeze or whatever. with like cowboy beans in them, because you guys mentioned, you and Steven I think mentioned cowboy beans the other day. So it's just like seasoned pinto beans, but they're already seasoned and they're good. And like that has twice in a pinch been a really great meal because there's not just a bunch of extra stuff in it.
Yeah.
There's avocado oil, but it's just like beans and spices. So
Nice.
it's a good thing. Had a lot of beans this week.
We were talking about cowboy coffee, not cowboy beans, but
that's right. That's right. Okay. Yes. All right. So yeah, again, thanks Stephen for hosting yesterday. That was fun. We're going to go deeper into one of the topics that we mentioned yesterday. Stephen being Irish, I figured he would not be the appropriate person to discuss the FDA's new guidance, although we did discuss it. But figured you and I could have a longer conversation. So we'll get to that in a minute. But first, we've got some additional weather report. By the way, Doug, did you listen to yesterday's episode? I'm guessing not.
I did not. No, I should have. I did not.
The only interesting part about it, we'll get into more of this, was we talked about the details of the Miyoko lawsuit. And it came out, and there's all kinds of details and like security footage and even screenshots of her like wheeling stuff out of the facility.
Whoa. Wow.
It just like turned into this dramatic thing all of a sudden that felt like a movie. So it's not saying it's worth a listen because it's really not, but just want you to be up to speed just in case we reference that again.
Yeah.
You should know.
I will have to check that out.
There's dramatic details going on with that. But no actual new news, just those little details came out. So anyway, keeping up with that. So nothing else there today. However, we do have some interesting stuff. It's another warm day where I live. Actually, it's been 3 days in a row, which is why I'm feeling the springtime vibes. And that's good. But as far as the virtual weather, Burger King has trolled McDonald's with an ad in Germany. We talked earlier about how McDonald's in Germany had partnered with Beyond and was rolling out these Beyond chicken or McPlant nuggets, I guess they're called. Burger King has put up 2 advertising trucks that are emblazoned with tongue-in-cheek slogans. One of them says, let's see, because Burger King has, like I said, their whole, as we know, their whole menu of plant-based stuff on it. And McDonald's has added these 2 things. So one of the truck reads, "Hello, you two," and that, of course, is referring to the McDonald's plant-based nuts and burger. "Welcome to the family." So, I mean, if you saw that and didn't have this context that I just explained, would that mean anything? Would that be any kind of troll? I don't know. It just would look like you were saying "Welcome to the family."
I know. It makes it feel like I don't know. It's kind of feel good, not trolly to me.
Right. It would feel good. I guess it would imply like, hey, we were here first by saying, hey, welcome here. The other one says "better late than beef," and I guess that means it's better that you. I mean, I don't know. How about just "better late than never" and then put a picture of the nuggets? That would make a little more sense to me. Better late than beef, I guess, means at least you did finally come around to using this instead of beef, but they still have beef in their menu. So I don't get that. Maybe something lost in translation there, perhaps. But anyway, like to see the banter going on between fast food restaurants about this because it's good. It's good that they're talking about this. There's more. This one's a weird one. From Veg News, Starbucks is elevating its brews with olive oil, heart healthy olive oil. They are choosing to call it, which used to be my joking euphemism when I would use oil in the house and Aaron would be avoiding it. I would say, "I'm pouring some heart healthy olive oil here." And I say similar when I'm trying to have wine and I kind of feel like I'm having too much wine. I always say I'm going to have a little glass of heart healthy red wine just to remind that it's heart healthy. So I guess Veg News is just embracing that moniker. But Starbucks has got this new beverage platform. I'm not quite sure what a beverage platform means, that it calls Oleato, Oleato. And what they're doing here, they're mixing olive oil, Starbucks blonde espresso, and oat milk. And from that, they are making a drink, or a lot of drinks, a line of drinks, a platform of drinks, like the Oleato Cafe Latte, the Oleato Ice Shaken Espresso, and the Oleato Golden Foam Cold Brew, rolling out later this spring in Southern California and then moving into other regions, including Japan, Middle East, and the UK. So hopefully that will get everywhere. I would be extremely interested in trying an Oleato. I don't know if it's if it means like, I don't know, like, you know how they have the Starbucks, whatever that fancy machine is, the Clover, which I think they've kind of done away with the Clovers a little bit, but there used to be certain Starbucks you can go to and you can get all these Starbucks Reserve special ones made to order, pick from 8 that they would have on offer. And you pay more for it. You get a little black sleeve status symbol sort of thing on your coffee, saying that you were good enough and wealthy enough to drink the Reserve.
You love
Uh,
that thing.
I did love that clover. I mean, I would seek out Starbucks clovers, not really for the status. I didn't care truly about the
Yeah,
black
okay.
sleep,
Yeah,
but I
you were
really
just
did.
hoping somebody would recognize you as that podcast guy while you were
Yeah,
sipping a
yeah. Who only drinks black sleeve Starbucks?
yeah.
No, but I did. I truly loved the variety and being able to choose from a bunch of different ones and taste test. I just enjoyed it. But anyway, so I don't know if it's a machine. That's my sense when they say platform, that there's a whole separate making
Mhm.
area for this or making apparatus. Um, but I guess it's sort of a bulletproof play because that always had the butter in it,
Yeah.
or whatever. I guess it was just butter in that. I'm not really sure what was in bulletproof coffee or what is in bulletproof coffee, but some sort of fatty thing like butter. Um, I can't really tell too much here about like what this is. Apparently, Howard Schultz was inspired by his time in Italy that olive oil was a longevity food. A teaspoon of olive oil a day or whatever was like people would just drink it as a longevity thing. And I can't find anything that says it was ever mixed with the coffee. But apparently, when they mix it with oat milk, it creates this luxurious textural experience similar to whole milk, says a Starbucks representative.
Uh,
Uh, so I'm actually very curious to try this. I'd be quite
yeah.
excited to try an oleato drink.
So it is for taste and texture, like make it creamier or something, thicker,
And
more so than like
longevity,
the
though.
fat. Okay. All
Well,
right.
yeah, I don't. They don't do. There's no mention of like keto or intermittent fasting or any of the stuff that bulletproof is supposedly for. Uh, but there is this idea that taking in olive oil on a daily basis is a good thing. And honestly, maybe a lot of people still don't cook much, and therefore they just don't get much olive oil. Uh, I don't know. And so if you had a daily coffee habit
Yeah.
and you got this, you'd also be
Good
getting
old heart
that.
health olive oil.
Yeah, exactly. You get a big shot of heart health every morning.
Yeah.
And
Interesting. Yeah, I'd be interested to try this. I'm also interested to try it at home. Just kind of play around with, see how it
yeah, me
improves the
too.
texture.
Me too. It says you need to steam or shake it with the oat milk. So that's how you infuse it.
Oh.
Um, so I'd be very curious. I don't know.
Mhm.
Would like to try it. I did wonder, like, I mean, some people just look at calories. That's their like primary thing for measuring the quality of a food is how much calories. And Starbucks already gets flack for certain ones having tons of sugar or tons of calories in them. So I think there are people with an eye on this, and if they see that on the menu and then they see that it has even a teaspoon of olive oil, that would add, I think, something like 50 calories. So I just think that's going to be a sticking point for people. But we'll see. I hope it works.
We shall see. Mr. Jeffrey says the most plant-based barista milks have oil added,
Oh,
but they all
okay.
use canola oil. I wonder if they are just trying to make their own blend than calling it healthier. Very possible.
That is possible, and it probably would be healthier, I think, if this really is extra virgin olive oil. But that is insightful. I did not know that.
And then Craig kind of says something similar here. I guess it makes sense because they add oil to oat milk in some national brands to make it creamier.
Okay, good. All right, well then that makes a little more sense. Okay, why are people talking about Oshi Glows? Oh, because her food she makes whole foods. Okay, they're just giving Aisha some cookbook tips. That's another Doug favorite. Oshi Glows cookbook. It's one of Doug's.
It is. It's been that I've fallen off the Oshi Glows wagon.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have,
Mhm.
which is true of almost every healthy living blogger that used to just be superstar. I mean, they just come and go. They get replaced by the younger generation who's willing to do more video and have more camera on their entire lives, and then we eventually choose that quantity over quality. All right, and the the final bit of weather that I've got today is related to the year of the mushroom. A new study, this again from Veg News, a new study conducted by researchers from Northumbria University, published in European Journal of Nutrition, examined the effects of swapping mycoprotein meat, which is like what corn does, QUORN, the mushroom meat, using mushroom protein. They're making meat substitutes, looking at swapping that with red and processed meat and seeing what happens to genotoxin levels, or maybe it's genotoxin levels, probably is, which are the chemicals that cause cancers, including colon cancer. And in this exploration, they just did an A/B kind of groups, and found that among those who had the mushroom meat instead, potential cancer risk markers like nitroso compounds, NOC, and P-cresol, these are the examples of these genotoxins, were significantly reduced. So that's a great thing. It is expected thought that it has a lot to do with the fiber that's in mushrooms. But we've heard this before. We've heard these sort of things about red meat and TMAO in the gut, and the incidence of colon cancer as a result. So nothing really that surprising here. I don't quite see what. The headline here is like that mushroom meat is the answer here. I think you could pretty much eat nothing in place of that beef and get the same result. Or eat, whatever else you want, as long as it's not red meat, and probably get a big improvement in these same things. So I'm not sure, but nice to know, I guess, at least that this one doesn't prevent that from happening. Whereas if you ate something that was awful and processed as a meat substitute, maybe that would kind of, have a lesser effect. I don't know. So kind of interesting. More case being made for Year of the Mushroom.
Year of the Mushroom.
Okay, good.
I'm gonna cook up some mushrooms tonight.
Is that true, or are you just gonna say that?
It's true.
Like
it is true.
Say?
No.
Yeah.
Picked them up the other day.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm gonna do with them yet. Maybe tacos. Or since it's Tia Day, maybe nachos.
Yeah, maybe. All right, good.
Know.
Now you do never know what Doug's going to eat. What you have no idea what's going to be served.
There's like 4 different options, so
All right, so on to stories of the day. We got 2 of them. This one, I don't know if there's too much to say about it. We mentioned it yesterday. Again, the news, the headline is, which we didn't go into detail, we just discussed it briefly in the weather report. The FDA's that's the Food and Drug Administration in the United States, draft guidance on plant-based milk labeling has come down. It's not required. It's just guidance. So it is suggested. I don't know what that really means. Maybe that kind of lessens the chance of you getting in hot water if something happens with your milk product. I don't know. But what the agency now says is that plant-based milk alternatives can be called milk, but there's this sort of asterisk that says they do recommend that there should be labeling on here that identifies certain nutritional differences from cow's milk on the front of the package. So, to me, the big news is that it's okay to call this milk. That's a huge thing. I don't know if this is just the first step and eventually it comes to law, or there come to be lawsuits, and then there's actual big decisions that say, no, this is official. But for now, no one's getting in trouble for calling their plant-based beverage or substitute, calling that plant-based milk. I don't know what this means about the need to say almond milk, all one word, which often is what you see with almond milks. Or if they will just continue to do that, the ones that do, in order to just prevent, any other potential lawsuit, nuisances or anything. I don't know. But the FDA did focus groups and things, and they commissioned and conducted these focus groups. And what they found is that the word milk is strongly rooted in consumers' vocabulary when describing and talking about plant-based milk alternatives. And it sounds like, they said, I've seen some summaries saying they determined people aren't confused by this type of labeling. And we've heard that before. There have been studies in the past about that. But I think it's kind of interesting that, I don't know, that part of the justification here is that the word milk is strongly rooted in their vocabulary. Even if it were confusing to them, maybe the fact that it is already in their vocabulary and it's what people are using to describe it, maybe that's enough to say that is an appropriate label for this, since that's the words people use.
So, yeah. So going back to one thing you said, these are just guidelines and their report from the FDA. This is not law or anything like that. So it could still come out that that milk can't be used. But this is this kind of guidance from the FDA. But the one thing that I found was interesting was here's what they recommend. They recommend putting the
Doug, I've lost your audio. It's got really grainy and then got worse. I don't know if other people are having the same problem.
Okay, I went on Instagram. I went off of Wi-Fi, so that's probably why.
Doug, I have nothing from you at this point. I don't know if people in YouTube can hear Doug clearly. They probably can in YouTube. That tends to be the case. Hey. Okay, I can hear you talking now.
Yep.
All right. So say that again, please, and then I'll just add it for the podcast.
Sure. So two things. One, like to go back to what you're saying about whether this is like a rule or whatever. It appears that this is just kind of a draft guidance, not adopted guidance. So so this isn't the end, the final verdict or anything like that. There could still be issues with calling plant-based milk, and sure should lawmakers make it that way or something like that. But so that was the first thing, and the second thing I want to call out that I thought was kind of the most interesting is around this learn about the nutritional differences. Because
it's just not working. I'm gonna switch audio. Keep talking for the nice people, and I'm gonna switch, and then maybe I can at least hear you on YouTube.
So what I actually find most interesting is around this nutritional differences. I'm gonna wait till you. Well, yeah. Sorry, everybody. Are you back? You're turned off of YouTube.
Yes, I'm turned off YouTube. Now I'm back. All right.
Okay.
Sorry about that, everyone. I hate these audio issues.
What I actually find
to start, I think, using audio for YouTube.
What I actually find to be the most interesting is on these nutritional recommendations, these nutrient recommendations on the front of the package, because their example, and this is the example here, it says 50% more calcium than milk, or contains lower amount of potassium than milk. But they're also at the same time saying you can call this milk. And so that just doesn't work to me. Something's wrong there, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. I did not think about that. Definitely this recommendation that people call out nutritional differences, that's the controversial part of this, at least for the vegan crowd. I don't know about that issue specifically. That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the exact language that the FDA used in that. Perhaps they said compared to cow's milk, or maybe the word milk.
It doesn't. Like the example that they show on the package, they have this package that they use as part of their guidelines, and it just says 50% more calcium than milk.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So
not cow's milk.
Probably the answer is I don't think you're allowed to package your cashew milk and just call it milk. Right. I think the term milk, unqualified, is reserved probably still for actual cow's milk, would be my guess, and that's the definition of milk by itself. But when it's with these other words, then it obviously means that it's from there. So that'd be my guess. I do find it interesting. Like, first of all, I haven't read any of Big Dairy's side to this. I'm sure they're up in arms saying how wrong this is and unfair this is. Well, just in case you thought one side could be perfectly happy, no, they can't, because the vegan side has decided to get upset that there is this additional recommendation that nutritional differences be called out, which annoys me so much that we can't just be okay with this kind of nice compromise. Like this sounds pretty fair to me. But some people want, and I think Good Food Institute has said some great things, not great, has said some things about that it is great that they came to this common sense conclusion about the labeling of use of the word milk. And I'm glad to hear that. But then someone else from Good Food Institute that I saw, was basically saying how come we don't need extra, explanations between different types of cow's milk? How come they don't have to label skim milk as call out that this contains less amount of fat than the other one or the whole milk does? Why is there this double standard?
Yeah.
I just, it's like people will find something to get upset about no matter what. So I think this is great. This is fantastic. Give people information. Let them know that this is not the same nutrition as what they have traditionally drank, whether it's better or worse or more or less different things. Let them know. Good, doesn't hurt to encourage that. But I don't care at all that we have to put out extra information, giving extra information about the nutrition. I think it's fine.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of had mixed feelings. what I think made me feel better about this recommendation is I can't remember if it's the article I'm sharing now or the other one. I think it might be the other one. That there is apparently 54%, 53% of recipients of the FDA survey believe that plant-based milk alternatives labeled with the term milk in their name have a nutritional content similar to milk, to dairy milk. There definitely, while there doesn't seem to be confusion around whether cashew milk comes from a cow, there probably is a bit of confusion around the differences in nutritional values between even the plant-based milks, and then of course how it compares to dairy milk. So yeah, I mean, like you, I think the more information for consumers, the better, because they might call out that it has less, I don't know, less sodium than or potassium than dairy milk, but maybe maybe it has healthy things that you can call out too, and that's good to inform the consumer.
Yeah, and what you just said, that there is some evidence that consumers are confused about the nutrition of plant milks, and we know that from the article headlines that come out all the time talking about like how bad plant milk is, and they call out all the sugar content and artificial stuff and stabilizers and whatever else is in there. But I think a lot of people do think of it as milk, and that is potentially dangerous, right? Like we know that happens with I think plant milks, maybe soy milk specifically, often has that warning about like this should not be used as a substitute for human breast milk for a baby.
Sure.
So like when there's that kind of confusion and it's potentially dangerous, that's when I think we should have more information. And when there's not, like they determine there's not when we call these things milk, then in that case, I think it's fine. So I don't know. I'm all for this. Like I truly don't have a side in like what's wanting to push the vegan side and like let's have our products be called milk so that they're on equal footing. Like just whatever makes people not confused, and the words people use, like that's what I think should be on the label. So I'm all for both parts of this this guidance.
Yeah, and then add in the red light, green light, yellow light thing that we were talking about before. They're considering, and I mean, you can have a very informed consumer in the dairy aisle.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is right. And the challenge with all this, of course, is you got to watch out. I mean, the lobbying and it's not all about. It should be all about those issues,
right?
But it's always going to be influence from different groups, and that will help determine what gets what color lights if that system ever gets started, and what nutritional information is needed to be called out. So you got to worry about all that. But I tend to think that that we're on a good path here.
Yeah.
All right, on to the really fun, uplifting story of the day that I happened to find in the last minute, which I thought this would be just perfect for a Friday show. It's as if they wrote this article for me, because this hooks me right in, and I think, oh my gosh, I need to read every one of these, and I need to eradicate them from my home. This is from Best
literally
Life.
Everything. The answer is everything.
This is from Best Life Online, my new favorite source of articles that are, I don't know, it's like that. It's like I'm the mark for Best Life Online. It says 30 things you had no idea could cause cancer. These daily habits could be spiking your risk of disease. And it's fact checked with a big check at the top. So you got to read it.
You can sit. You got to immediately get rid of these things. All right. So let's do it.
All right. We can't.
Napping on the couch with popcorn is number one.
Is it?
That's the picture at the front.
Well, popcorn is potentially an issue. We know about that. Or at least it can cause popcorn lung, which is not cancer, but is some sort of lung condition. All right, so we won't spend long on any of these or almost any of them, but I do want to run through them. All right, number one, not managing your stress. Yep, that's a good one. Also, by the way, a lot of these are related to other diseases too, not just cancer. But didn't this happen with gardening as well? That they spun it towards cancer. So maybe that's their thing, is they've decided that's how you get clicks is cancer, which I think is a good strategy, because honestly, like heart disease always seems like something, and I think this is wrong. I think the nature of cancer is exactly like this, but people don't realize it. Like cancer just seems like it's something where one, bad roll of the dice and it just appears. Whereas heart disease seems like something that gradually develops over the course of a lifetime. And so things that might be causing cancer that give you that sudden awful news, I think they're much scarier and easier to click on, find things to prevent them. But the way cancer happens is exactly, it is a gradual buildup over years and years, it just becomes suddenly detectable and suddenly a problem. So anyway, so I think that perhaps that's what's playing into this. Number 2, forgetting to floss. Interestingly, I mean, I've heard a lot about flossing and heart disease risk, and I've heard a lot about flossing and longevity, which is always interesting. But this Journal of the National Cancer Institute study in 2018 found that gum disease is associated with a 24% increase in both lung and colorectal cancer, which is really interesting. And I don't know why, but I don't know if anyone does yet. But then they conclude, meaning that taking care of your mouth benefits your whole body. That I don't know about, because it might not be causation, could be correlation, but whatever. They can think.
You floss?
I floss about twice a week, mainly because
Okay.
my breath and mouth are much smellier if I don't do that. That's my primary motivator. What about you? Do you?
Very, very rarely. But and which is reinforced by my dentist, actually, because every time I go to the dentist, the hygienist is like, "Wow, you take such good care of your teeth. They look great. You must be flossing all the time." And I just kind of like nod and smile. And I mean, I never floss, so now I'm like, I don't need to. And they think I'm good. So
Yeah, you should. I mean, there's a lot of things linking it to it. I've heard much more heart disease than cancer. But yeah, I mean, it's a good thing for longevity for sure. I've heard though that I think the American Dental Association has stopped recommending flossing. It's not that they think it's bad. It's just
really,
there's not enough evidence to show that it helps with whatever they're concerned about, which I think is teeth issues.
huh?
Yeah.
Are you sure about that? Is that a definitive?
I'm not sure if
statement?
I'm not sure if it's that exact association. There might be some other, governing dentist body. But yes, I'm sure that one of them, removed the recommendation to floss just because there wasn't clear evidence that it was helpful.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. All right, let's keep moving here. Sitting too much. Yeah, we know sitting's the new smoking. I still sit plenty, but I often do it in this kneeling chair I have, and it's probably a little better. I don't know. Anyway, that for every 2 additional hours, risk of colon cancer, endometrial cancer, and lung cancer increased by 8, 10, and 6% respectively for every additional 2 hours beyond what's I guess the basic minimum. So that's something. Sleeping with the TV on, linked to both breast and prostate cancer. Interesting. Could just mean lower quality sleep. Could mean a lot more light coming at you. Who knows? Using scented candles, Doug. I know you're a big candle user. I now know that because I guessed it and you told me you are. So make sure they're not scented.
So I wondered about this because some of the ones we are scented are lightly scented, and I want to look up if they have these chemicals in it.
Right. Chances are the ones you're buying do not. I would guess they would be more careful than that. Still, I'm skeptical about inhaling anything that isn't just pure air for a long amount of time. The essential oil diffusion thing. I know that got big and people were into it. My wife big into that. I'm always a little worried about spending long amounts of time inhaling stuff that isn't air. So just
So all the about my middle and high school girlfriends from Bed Bath & Beyond, or from what was the name of that?
Body Shop, Body Works, Bath and Body Works,
Bath and Body Works. Yeah, Bath and Body Works.
Great store.
Those probably weren't good for you. My guess is that those had some chemicals in it.
Probably. I definitely gave a few of those as gifts as well. That was a pretty safe store to go to.
Oh yeah.
When you're in middle or high school and don't know what to buy a girlfriend. All right, burning incense. I'm sure this is the same thing going on here. Associated risk or increased risk of squamous cell carcinoma of the respiratory tract. So that's not good. And probably not good whatever you're burning incense to cover up the other smell of. You're probably not also good. So double whammy there. All right, using certain laundry detergent. So that's bad. You don't want to have 1,4 dioxane in your detergent. Going to the dry cleaner, I can imagine, based on how that stuff smells. No surprise there whatsoever. Pumping gas. Yes, we know pumping gas. Another thing, inhaling things that aren't oxygen. Not good, or that aren't the air, I should say. Not good. So that's one that's no surprise. Working the night shift. I haven't read this article yet. I mean, I just found it pretty short. So I'm trying to read these things as we go to see if there's anything worth calling out.
All right.
Must just be a lack of sleep issue or a changing of cycles issue. Not good. Not drinking enough water. We seem to be having that theme repeated several times. it's odd that you could find a cancer link here, but apparently it dilutes harmful substances in your urine, potentially helping to reduce your risk of bladder cancer. So maybe a stretch there. I don't know if there's any evidence that it does do that, but we'll see. Using plastic water bottle, in addition to being bad for the environment, probably not good because water, very powerful solvent, and you can take some of that plastic into your water. So that's good. Not enough fruits and veggies. We all know that. No one needs to hear that, but can make us all feel good that we've got that one handled. Eating too much rice because of the levels of arsenic. No Meat Athlete was on this very early, Doug. We have some article about kicking arsonist's arse or something like that. Arsenic's arse, I think. But we have some good information there, despite the title of that article. So if you're going to eat rice, get it imported. That's my number one rule. Get it from Thailand would be a good one, or India. Don't get it from Texas or California. And the other thing you can do is cook it using the pasta method, where you fill up a whole pot, you end up draining a lot of water, and with that water, you drain away a lot of arsenic. Whereas if you
does washing it help too? I mean, if you wash it really well,
I don't know if that helps. I'm not sure that helps a lot or not. It's probably in that post that for some reason that is not one of the practices that stuck with me. So I'm guessing maybe it's not that helpful.
Okay,
but I don't know. And brown rice no better than white as far as arsenic levels. So don't think just because it's brown you're good, or organic, doesn't matter. All right, undergoing hormonal replacement therapy, which is often used by women during menopause, increased risk of breast cancer there for sure. Taking too many supplements, Doug. I should have edited this out of the content of the show. Should have read this in advance.
That's too many is exactly the problem. That's what you need. Right. Just what you need and nothing you don't. A compliment,
I mean, that actually is right. That's a really good point. That's kind of why we didn't want to be taking a ton of stuff. And yes, I did know this specific one. Beta carotene supplements can increase lung cancer risk more than the recommended amount. So there are a lot of examples like that where you don't want too many. Eating charred meat, yes, we know that as well. I think most people are aware of that smell, whatever that is deliciousness to a lot of people. And even me, like that still smells really good. A barbecue grill that is crisped up, whatever chicken, right? That grill smell, that is bad. That the compounds that get produced there are bad for you. Eating processed meat, we talk about that all the time. No surprise there. Drinking alcohol, we also talk about that all the time. Not very surprising there. Unfortunately, I don't like that one, but it's the truth. And every drink I have, I think about cancer. I really do, which is not good. I probably need to work on that.
That's why you have to call it heart healthy when you.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And that, I mean, for a long time, that was my rationale. That slight increase in cancer risk, slight improvement in heart disease risk, and family history would say heart disease is the thing I should be worried about more. So that used to be my rationalization, but then that kind of got taken away from me when they may not actually be heart protective. 20, making microwave popcorn, which we alluded to because of the PFCs, the perfluorinated compounds. By the way, speaking of PFCs, Aaron just the other day accidentally bought some Glide dental floss. Speaking of floss as well, that kind that's really slippery and like the most pleasant kind to floss with, that has a high amount of these PFCs in it. So if you're going to floss, you need to get like the kind that's not very comfortable, the kind that's just like waxy string. That's the kind that won't have these PFCs and be putting them into your bloodstream.
You just can't win. You're flossing to prevent cancer, and then you get cancer from the.
Yep. And you're going outside, you're skiing, you're tubing down the river, but there's probably 5G stuff. There's chemtrails in the air.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's nothing you can do to avoid any of this. All right, using artificial sweeteners, that's no good. Of course, case in point, neither is sugar. So can't win there. Drinking diet soda, which is probably the exact same thing. Yeah, it has copious amounts of aspartame, and that is an artificial sweetener. So that's kind of a bonus one they gave themselves there to get to 30. Wearing deodorant, we all know that one. Thankfully, Doug, you don't wear deodorant, so you're good there.
Good to go.
But some of us do need it, and you don't want to have aluminum in your deodorant for sure. I don't know if the natural deodorants are bad, but aluminum's the big thing you don't want. So there probably some other things you don't want too, parabens or whatever. All right, baby powder. Who knew baby powder? Well, I guess people did know. Talcum powder can increase a woman's risk of endometrial cancer by 24% when used on the perineal area or the area surrounding the genitalia. Using makeup that contains parabens, that's number 25. Don't like that. Not surprised. We know parabens are bad. Living in a polluted area. I mean, of course. Not wearing sunscreen. Even more obvious. These are getting more obvious as we go. Who knew not wearing sunscreen could cause cancer, Doug? But the article says you had no idea that it could cause cancer. But
but don't get the wrong kind of sunscreen.
I'm never. No, right. You don't want the wrong. You got to get a good natural kind. Again, you can find natural versions. There are apps that help grade these types of products that are useful for sunscreens, deodorants, all these things. They should have made this list like 21 or something. There are a lot of these are reaches or repeats. Flying frequently, high levels of UV radiation. So Stephen was talking to about this as a flight attendant.
Yeah,
he said they had to. What did they have to do? Not always fly.
They can only spend so many hours flying. Yeah, and it has to do with UV radiation. Yeah.
UV levels are twice of that of those on the ground. And I think that's probably due to atmospheric thinness when you're higher rather than proximity to the sun. They don't mention the going through the scanner thing, security scanner in the airport, but I suspect that's a huge one. I would avoid that magnet device as much as you can. The full body scan where you put your arms up like this. Ask for this easier one, which is I think it's like a magnet. I don't know what it is.
Detector? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. And if you have a family, they'll usually give you that one. But I think even if you don't, if you just request to go in it, you sometimes have to stand in a different line, and it takes a little longer. But then you don't have to expose yourself to that. So that's it's important. Tanning, not surprising there at all. That going into even one trip to the tanning salon can spike your risk of developing melanoma by 20%. How does that industry still exist? That's crazy. And 30, sleeping with your phone next to your head. This one's been on my radar for a while now. I put it far away as I can get it at bedtime, yet still being in my room. I think about 3 feet is the range that I'm comfortable with.
But is that what the science says? What far away? Do you know?
I think I got that from something that suggested that at that point, the amount of waves is reduced by 95% or something. I'm not sure though. So I'd love to hear if anyone knows a better stat on that one.
That's interesting. I mean, it makes a ton of sense, but I have it on my nightstand, which is a foot and a half away from my pillow, probably. Yeah,
no, you got to fix that. So, all right. So there you go. Kind of a funny list. Really good article though. I mean, like I said, I think it was too many and repeats and things, but
and maybe some stretches. Rachel points out that there's no evidence around hormone, or not enough evidence around hormone replacement therapy. My guess is that a lot of these are probably a little bit stretched.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did a good job of mentioning studies and things. So, but it's very possible that a lot of these literally have one study that has demonstrated that, and maybe others can't. But you can't be too careful, right, Doug?
You can be too careful. You can.
Yeah. You can be too careful.
I mean, and it goes back to number 2, right? Of
too much stress, right? Number 1.
Too much stress. Yeah. Not being able to manage.
Right. Exactly. It's a balance. And they didn't recognize that irony in their article. That should have been the last one. The last one should have been worrying too much about cancer risks. Needs to be stopped.
Yeah.
All right. So that's that. Yeah. I mean, good stuff to be aware of, perhaps. Don't go overboard. But Best Life Online, like I said, my new favorite publication on the internet. I'm going to subscribe to that publication so I get those emails in my inbox. That's
you know what is helpful about these lists?
What? That we have content for the show?
Well, that too. But I mean, I'll be honest. Most of these I'm not going to not do something or do something because it was on a Best Life list. But it might make me think like the cell phone thing, right? I mean, if there's a place I can put it where I can still reach my alarm, without too much trouble, but that's just a little bit further apart, maybe that's a good thing to do. Or being more mindful about the type of floss that I'm buying, or the type of detergent I'm buying, soap, whatever. So I mean, I think that that type of thing is helpful. Just being aware.
Yeah, right,
Awareness,
right.
mindfulness.
Because awareness, a lot of these things that you can do like a no effort or tiny effort swap one time,
Mhm.
right? Like if you just find a new place for your phone, or find a new floss to buy. It's simple. You do it one time and then you're good. So you don't need to keep worrying about it your whole life.
Mhm. You know, it wasn't on the list.
What?
Tortilla chips. They must be in the
Yeah,
clear.
you're right. I think fried foods though, Doug, are a problem. But they didn't mention processed food in general. They mentioned processed meat, and not even that that's the same as processing, but frying is a problem. But I don't know. Didn't make this list. All right. I think that's it then. We made it to the end of another week successfully. I enjoyed it. Man, glad to have found Best Life Online. I mean, they made it for a lot of good articles this week. I'm excited for what they have next week.
I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you, Matt. Making your life a little
Yeah,
easier.
definitely. All right. Well, thanks everyone for attending. Enjoy your weekend. Look forward to hearing about it, and we're gonna get going with that Discord. So get ready for that thing. Hopefully next week.
Yeah, that will be big news. All right, thanks everybody.
All right.
Have a great weekend, Matt. Pleasure as always.
Yes. Talk to you later.